Having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2504. Oh, excuse me. And today we're talking about family history is not only about the past, it shapes the future too. But first, I have to tell you a really cool thing that's happening right outside right now, which was a couple of minutes late getting on, is the rain is going sideways down the street. There's a big wind that's blowing right now, around 32 kilometers an hour. I can do a quick conversion. 32 kilometers per hour in miles per hour. 19, so 20 miles per hour. Okay, so we've got 32 kilometers per hour outside with the winds. That's what they are supposedly gusting at, and which is about 20 miles an hour. And I will tell you, I have not seen... Growing up in New Zealand, you get all sorts of things that happen with wind and everything else. You get rain that goes sideways. And I have not seen that in a lot of years. So I was sitting there in my recliner just absolutely transfixed with the rain going sideways down the street, going left to right in front of me. And then there's a guy walking his bike going right to left because he didn't want to ride into the headwind, which was very advisable because it is strong enough to throw some light stuff around. But being on a bike in that wind with the rain coming in your face as hard as it would be very difficult to ride your bike in those conditions. So I was just sitting out there, I was just mesmerized with rain going sideways down the street. It was awesome. But anyway, so now we're back. Just a little tidbit about New Zealand. You have rain that goes sideways here. So today we are talking about family history is not only about the past, it shapes the future. And family history is often something connected, is often seen as something only connected to the past through old photos, historical records, long forgotten names, stories from previous generations. But family history also shapes the future. The stories we preserve today become the stories future generations inherit. Remember we had my friend Francine on, and she reminded us that we are the ancestors of our future generation. So when we research family history, we pass forward memories, lessons, traditions, values, cultural connections, stories of resilience and survival and tragedy and love, and you got the whole kit and caboodle in there. You really do. Genealogy helps families understand where they came from, and sometimes that understanding can influence where they are going. It could be that ancestors left behind stories of hardships and stuff, and you see this pattern going in there, and somebody decides they want to break that pattern and do something different and go somewhere else. Then you've got those that learn from what the people that they have come from, the stories of survival, resilience, strength, overcoming challenges, overcoming overwhelm, overcoming tragedy, falling in love. All of those stories can help influence where they're going. They see those examples that have been set for them in the past, and they go, I like that. I want to do the same. Children and grandchildren may one day look back at the work we do now to understand the people who came before them. Remember, we are following in our ancestors' footsteps. It's not us paving the way. They have already paved the way. We are following in their footsteps. So we can do this by the photographs when we label them. When you label a photograph, the minimum you should have on a photograph is who, when, and where. Who's in the photograph? Where was it taken? When was it taken? The stories that we record those stories for prosperity. Those stories may one day help. I mean, if you might turn around and say, oh yeah, but my story is nothing magic. I did that. I used to do that a lot. I would go to conferences where you get people up on stage, they were talking about their stories and stuff, and I'm going, I don't have anything like that. But when I actually sat down and somebody says, you have a story to tell, there is something in your past, in my past, in my current life, or there's something that you are going to face, a challenge that you're going to face that somebody wants to hear, it is going to need to hear to help them through that same thing. And I was sort of like, yeah, I don't have any stories like they have. And they go, that's right, because that's their story. You have your story. And then when I actually sat down and started thinking about it, I was like, oh, I do have stories to tell. I have a lot of stories to tell. And if I tell those stories, and if it helps one person, then it was worth recording the story for others to hear, read, listen to, whatever it is, whether you've done it as an audio, a video, done it as a song, um, done it as a written story. People will read those stories, and something that you did will help them move forward. They could be stuck in a place and unable to move forward. Then they hear something in your story that is a similar situation to what they are going through, and something clicks. And now they are able to get unstuck and move forward. The records that we preserve, when we preserve the births, deaths, the marriages, the awards that we've given, the educational records, just any record that you get that you can preserve, that helps build your character, helps build who you are, helps build part of your story. Then there's the family connections that we uncover. Who were we related to? Who did we have in our past that overcame tragedy, survived challenges to get to where they are today? I am proud of the legacy that I have. I have parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, great grandparents, great great grandparents, and the list goes on, and all of their siblings as well, that have overcome a lot in their lifetime. And they just look at it as it's just my life. There's nothing there. Yes, there is. As I dig into these stories and dig into the stories of my ancestors, I am overcome with gratitude of what they went through in order for me to exist. There's a lot of stuff that went in order for me to exist. I wouldn't be here today without them fighting their battles that they fought, without overcoming the challenges that they overcome, without having to walk through the tragedies that they've had to walk through, without having, their beautiful love stories that they have. Some of the love stories are just beautiful, and all of it becomes part of. I'm even getting choked up and emotional with it right now, because there's some beautiful stories there, and even in the tragedy, you can find a beautiful story in there. But all of it becomes part of the legacy that we leave behind. Family history is not only about discovering the past, it is also about making sure future generations know the stories that helped shape them. And then it's up to those if they want to continue along that line or they want to go a different direction, completely up to them. If you want help with finding your stories, discovering your stories, recording your stories, even with our new thing of having a legacy anthem, just scan this QR code up here, book a 30-minute discovery call with us. Let's figure out where you want to go, what you want to do as far as recording your past is, or discovering your past, so that you can then make the steps to move forward. Your ancestors overcame a lot. It might not seem like much, but you might say, oh, they were just farmers. Were they just farmers? What did they go through? Farming is tough. We've had friends that were farmers. There are seasons where it is so wet and windy, and then you've got those that get the snow in there where it's so snowy and they can't keep they lose a lot of stock during those times, or crops if they are an agricultural farm. There's a lot of stuff that goes on where they suffer massive losses and they have to rebuild and come back from them again and again and again. How did they keep moving? What was their story? Was there economic hardships for them? Yes, because they had this Mother Nature thing came through and wiped out half their stock or wiped out their crops. They didn't get the crops in time because Mother Nature came through with some storm type of thing that wiped out their crops that was almost ready for harvesting. So there's stuff like that out there, and stories like that. You've got stories in the industries as well, where you've got those that worked in cotton mills or other industrial factories and things, where people, due to something that may or may not have been their fault, they were harmed in some way. They lost a limb. They were injured on the machinery and stuff. They could no longer work. What did they have to do for work now? How were they able to provide for their family? There's a lot of stories out there just in everyday living. Go find your stories. Come set up a call with us to help you find those stories. We love finding stories. And I will tell you, there's some incredible stories out there. There are ones that as I'm sitting reading them, I start crying. I get very emotionally attached to people when I am finding them, even if I'm researching somebody else's tree. I get emotionally attached to them. I love finding the stories. And some of them are incredible stories. Some of them are like, how the hell did they manage? Oops, sorry. No, that was not an earthquake. That was me hitting my desk. See, I can do it again. Manufactured earthquakes, another natural disasters. How did they get through them? There are some incredible stories about there. And when you read the stories and you hear the stories, you're like, how the heck did they get through that? How did they survive that? They survived because they had something in them that had to keep them moving forward so you could exist today. Let's go find those stories. That is your challenge for today. Go find one of your ancestors, and see if you can discover a new story about them. There's a lot of resources out there. If you want help finding those resources, book a 30-minute discovery call with us, and let's go find these stories together. So with that, I am out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here